Hello and welcome to the Two Guys, One Roto Show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your absolute favorite fantasy baseball show, Two Guys, One Roto. Today, we're going to be discussing our East Bowl predictions, both National and American League. And as always, I'd like to welcome in my stalwart co-host, Rich Sayre. Rich, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm excited to be back. New season, new year, 2026. Let's get it rolling.
Let's get it rolling indeed. As always, the Two Guys, One Roto Show is brought to you by FantasySixPack.net. Be sure to like this channel, subscribe, like the video, follow us on YouTube or iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever the hell it's called. I can't remember now. Anyway, Spotify, wherever you're listening or watching to this, like it. How about that? And you can also follow us on Twitter and or Blue Sky. I am at DW the Original. And Rich, you are?
I am at rsayer04.
Sayre04. There we go. Today, we're glad to welcome in a guest. So welcome to the program, Mr. Scott Sheilds. Hello, Scott.
Hey, Rich. Hey, Dave. How you guys doing?
Great to see you.
Excellent. Good to see you, buddy. How are you?
I am well. I'm joined by Braves Legends.
Braves Legends, yeah. There we go. You are
NL East correspondent.
Yes, there we go. Our NL, right? Yeah, this is why we brought Scott. This kind of legitimately is why we brought Scott on for the show. Is he is an NL East savant, so to speak. He's the Rain Man of the NL East. But Scott lives in the great state of North Carolina, which just got buried with an unusual amount of snow. Although I suppose a lot of the country did. How are you surviving the snow, Mr. Scott?
Good. It is very cold. I think the temperature this morning got down in the single digits, which, for you folks who are from up north, I'm sure that's, typical business as usual. But for us down here in the South, everything stopped for about 3 days. So kids go back to school tomorrow, which is wonderful. Always good news. But yeah, baseball's in the air, and so is snow apparently.
Right. Yes, there you go. Okay, so real quick, I'd be remiss if I did not mention a couple things. Our partnership with Fantrax. I think all three of us would agree. Fantrax is easily the best fantasy sports platform. If you are using another one, you're making a mistake. So go to fantrax.com/fantasy6pack to sign up today. Real quick, I started this kind of a little bit last year, and we didn't really follow up on all that much, but I want to start it again. So today we are recording on January 27th. So in honor of his birthday, I'm going to give a quote from a player born today. Also born today, by the way, are Julio Teheran, probably one-time favorite of Scott, who, by the way, I have no idea how Julio Teheran is not currently pitching in the big leagues and like Tyler Anderson is. That doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. Anyway, also pride of Vanderbilt University, Brian Reynolds, is also born today. But anyway, today's quote, though, comes from birthday boy Tim Beckham Jr., former number one overall pick, Tim Beckham Jr. Quote, I kind of like this one. I reap the benefits outside of work because of the job, as well as the hardships due to it. You deal with it. You pinch us, we still got to go, ouch. And so I kind of like that. I did find out in my little bit of research that Beckham now owns a window company in Sarasota, Florida, which is just out of Tampa, called Wallaby Windows. I have no idea why it's called Wallaby. But I bet he'll rue the day that he came up with that name. Career high over. I did also look this up because why not?
Where's their sound effects? We need like a sound
right. Yeah.
We'll work on that.
Yeah. Tim Beckham's career high over any 162 game stretch, not just a single season, but any 162 game stretch. His career high OPS was 819, which is not bad. But with 38 walks and 181 punchies, which is not great. So that's his best stretch. So, whatever. Our friend of the show, Jeff Breckelbaum, couldn't have been possibly any more convinced that Tim Beckham was going to be a star, and I probably wasn't far behind him, and boy, were we wrong. So, Odell.
Quite a number of players that could be superstars if only they could hit a little bit better.
Right. Yes. There's that. Yeah. Odell Beckham only trails Tim Beckham by like 8 career war. So there's that. Anyway, and then lastly, of course, we want you to jump over to fantasysixpack.net. become an all-access member. You can get access to our award-winning rankings, especially our good friend Joe Bond, when it comes to your fantasy football leagues. And then you also get the weekly and daily MLB tools, data, DFS stuff. And then you can jump on our Discord server, our private Discord server, and get custom league and team advice, which Rich and I, and among others, are known to answer. So it's kind of fun. If you visit fantasysixpack.net/plans and use promo code, stay with me on this one, F6PPODS. So Fantasy Six Pack Pods, in other words, F6PPODS. And you'll save 15%. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, without further ado, we are, as I mentioned, we're starting with East Division bold predictions. Scott, typically we let the guest lead us off. So you can do your best impersonation of Ricky Henderson and get this started.
So right out the gate, starting with just the easy slam dunk.
Oh, I'm sorry, Scott. I'm sorry. Real quick, I just wanted to clarify to our listeners, viewers, whatever it is. We're just doing an order of 2025 standings. There's no preferential, whatever, like just division top to bottom standings. So anyway, carry on.
Correct.
I'm sorry.
If you could not tell, yes, I would not be going Phillies first.
Right, you would not be going Phillies first.
But yeah, so easy, nice little layup first take, which is that the best pitcher in the Phillies rotation in the 2026 season obviously is going to be Zach Wheeler. So we know that he's dealing with a little bit of an injury. All the reports coming out of the offseason are that he's actually progressing really, really well. His quote was that he will be a little behind the others. I'm just seeing that in a lot of the projections and a lot of what kind of everyone's putting out, that the innings totals that they're projecting for are just low. I'm seeing like 20 starts, 120 innings, these sorts of things. That's just that doesn't sound like a little behind the others to me. Mm-hmm. And so, Christopher Sanchez is good, Luzardo, and even Aaron Nola, those guys are fine, but I just don't think there's going to be enough of a gap in volume. Wheeler is clearly the best of all of them. He's been lowering his FIP consistently over the last couple of years. XFIP, same thing, well below his career numbers, which are very, very good as it were.
Right.
This is just a guy who's just been so good for his entire career. I would love to say I wish he would get a Cy Young. I don't wish that. But I wouldn't, I would not be surprised at all. And in fact, it's my prediction is that, maybe he'll finish second in the Cy Young again.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, it's a good take. That Sanchez and Luzardo are both good regression candidates based on nothing other than they just haven't done it before, kind of thing. And then Aaron Nola, I love Aaron Nola, so I'm not the right guy to ask. But he actually wrote up Aaron Nola as a veteran pitcher to buy in one of my offseason articles. But he ain't going to be better than Zach Wheeler. If Zach Wheeler gets, to your point, Zach Wheeler gets, let's say, 26 starts, it's not at all hard to see him be the best pitcher in the rotation. Yep. Rich, any thoughts?
Yeah, I would have thought he'd be out longer, actually. Hadn't been following up on that story. So if people are drafting now or soon, maybe a big chance to get a big value there. Little bit of a scary injury, but if you're going to bet on a guy to overcome it, Wheeler's the guy.
Yeah. Wheeler hashtag has that dog in him.
That's right.
Rich, you want to go next? You want me to, bud?
I could jump in next because I got another pitcher here in the Phillies rotation.
Sir.
We talked about him just now. I'm going to talk about Aaron Nola a little bit. I think he's going to be undervalued. That might be easy to say. He had the 6-something ERA, 6.01, but missed a bunch of games as well. Is he old? Is he getting injury prone? He had a lot of bad luck mixed in there. He had a 315 BABIP, only a 60% or so left on base. So that's a natural regression that's going to happen with a talented pitcher. He's going to bounce back a little bit. The angle that I really like is I'm looking at the Phillies outfield, and I think the defense out there is night and day from last season. You had Castellanos, you had Brandon Marsh in center field, and you had Max Kepler. right now it's looking like it's going to be Marsh in left field, even though he can handle center. You wouldn't love that.
Right.
Crawford, I think, is a really plus defender, and you got Adolis Garcia on right.
Right.
So even though he's not a big fly ball lean, I think going from that outfield defense they had last year to this year is going to be a big factor for everyone, actually. But specifically for Nola, I think he's due a little bit of a good luck swing. I could actually see a real big bounce back season. I could see him having his best year since 2018. I could see him get to 15 wins with a 3.75 ERA, maybe 200 Ks. So
nice.
I think there's a lot of value there.
Always like the props for the LSU pitchers. Rich or Scott, rather, anything to add?
Nola has that funny kind of like even year, odd year thing.
Yeah,
it's an even year, which are his up years. So, I mean, if there was ever a year to bet on Aaron Nola, it's an even year. So I could be convinced.
Yep, no doubt. And I will say, actually, friend of the show, Eric Polsky, is a big fan of Aaron Nola. So there's that. So, all right. So I'll go with my guy. Is going to be Bryce Harper. You may have heard of him. And for those of you who read my offseason or my Dynasty first base article, I made a very interesting comp that I will tease here, but I will make you go read the article if you want to get all the information. But the comp that I made for Bryce Harper, I think he's going into his age 30. I'm going off memory here, folks, so bear with me. I think he's going to his age 32 season, or maybe just finished his age 32 season. Was Dale Murphy. And Dale Murphy was spectacular, kind of like Bryce Harper, from age 24 to 32, won a couple MVPs. And Dale Murphy was also like a plus defender and a many-time Silver Slugger and whatever. And then Dale Murphy, after the age of 32, had a 708 OPS over the next 3 years and was like out of baseball 5 years later. Also, Dale Murphy finished his career with the Colorado Rockies, which I had no idea about until I looked it up. But anyway, so anyway, but that's not my take. Obviously, my take is that the New York Metropolitans first baseman, everybody who plays first base this year for the Mets, will post a higher WRC plus than Bryce Harper does. So I kind of have faith in the Mets, like random conglomeration of Jorge Polanco and Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos and God only knows who else, whatever. So yeah, bottom line, I'm not saying Harper's going to fall off a cliff or anything like that. But yeah, Mets first baseman higher WRC plus than Bryce Harper. I was going to go higher WAR, but then I was like, Bryce Harper could get hurt, and that doesn't count. So I went WRC plus. Anyway, you guys want to make fun of me or anything like that, or no?
I mean, the WRC plus is tough because the one thing that I think with Harper, the one thing that's going to age fine is the bat.
Right.
Good plate discipline, the power. I just don't think the power is going anywhere. I've been skeptical of him as a first baseman. And so I don't know if maybe there's some statistical trickery, maybe if he ends up at any point losing any kind of time in the field,
right.
Which obviously with Schwarber clogging up DH, that's not going to happen. But
right.
He's had a bevy of shoulder and arm injuries, so we'll see. But
okay.
Bryce Harper's my favorite player to hate,
okay.
And so I love any chance I get to kind of talk crap about him. But great baseball player. I mean, truly
awesome.
So we'll see.
All right, let's move on to the Metropolitans. Mr. Scott, you lead us off again, sir.
All right, my actual favorite team to hate, but my take for the Mets is I've actually picked two players to make a point, which is that I actually agree with your take about the Mets first base, and that's because I think Jorge Polanco is actually going to be quite good. He's been good. The batted ball metrics are great, and so my hot take is that Jorge Polanco will be the Mets' best offseason addition.
Okay.
/ that Marcus Semien will be a part-time player for the Mets by the end of the season.
Oh wow. That's
again, Jorge Polanco. The batted ball metrics are all there.
Yep.
Obviously moving into a better hitter's park than being in Seattle, and so I just think that Polanco's due for a little bump in numbers. On the other hand, Marcus Semien, One of my biggest things about Marcus Semien is, you look at the plate appearances and the games played. I mean, he has been the only modern Iron Man.
Yep.
Father time's undefeated.
Yep.
Batted ball metrics have gotten worse. He's still a great defender, which is going to keep him. He's not going to get cut or anything like that. Obviously, as well as the contract, but so he's going to be on the field because his glove's that good. But the bat is going to be a problem, I think.
Yeah.
And that's if he stays healthy, which I have great doubts about.
Yeah. No. I wanted to parse it out. Actually, I got into the also important Twitter arguments with somebody the other day or whatever about Marcus Semien because MLB Network was doing their top whatever second baseman, and they posted that Semien had a 122 WRC plus from June 1st or from May 31st on, and what they left out was that was only in June. Like he was phenomenal in June. So from July 1st on, it was like 88. But Semien is such a good glove. I find a hard time to believe. I have a hard time buying that he can be a part-time player. But we'll see. Rich, anything to add, or you want to just go to your end of your player, buddy?
You get. I mean, we talked about him a little bit last year. I think we said he's slowing down a little bit.
He's toast with the bat. I'm just saying the glove ain't coming out.
Yeah, I mean, well, you look at the defensive metrics, and he had his worst year in the last 5. So according to Fangraphs, he definitely shouldn't be at the top of the lineup. Or maybe an 8 or 9 guy, and that's what we talked about. I think in the show last year, is he had these crazy plate appearance totals from leading off for all those years. And that's come a little bit to an end, but I'm with you.
So, all right, you want to go next? You want me to, bud?
I'll jump in again.
All right.
I got a quick one here. If you are familiar with myself and Dave at Fantasy Six Pack, you might know I tilt towards the prospect end of the baseball world or the fantasy baseball world. I'm big on Carson Bench. So I actually had him as my number 10th overall prospect in my top 100 prospect series. I think he's got a real, they did make a lot of additions this year. I think he's got a real pathway to 500-600 plate appearances this year. I think he'll be an everyday player at the latest by May or beginning of June. I think he's going to go 2020 with close to a 300 average, and he's going to be a super valuable fantasy player this year. Oh. And I think he's going to sneak into that lineup spot that you're looking right now. They're forecasting Semien for, which is like 5th or 6th.
Yeah. No, that's I actually could see Bench getting every opportunity to win the opening day left field job. With the addition of Luis Robert, Luis probably says play center, but that's fine because Bench is not necessarily like true center fielder.
Yeah.
Bench is a hell of a player. And he's strong. I heard he can bench press. So
about 300.
Yeah. So Scott, anything to add on Carson Bench?
No, I mean, I think this is a team that has been old for a couple of years, and so some youth infusion is it's good time. I mean, obviously, we're talking about their older all season additions, but as much as I love to hate the Mets, I wouldn't mind seeing some young. I was obviously hoping that Luis Angel would be that guy, but not to be. So
yeah, you're shipped to the side. Also, he's terrible. All right. Anyway, I'll go with my guy. Also, not as young as Ben, but young for the Mets. Kind of to your point, Scott. As far as they're a team of old players, sort of. Juan Soto's not old at all, but he's just been around so long he feels old. Anyway. All right. So Brett Beatty is my guy, and Rich will not be even a little bit surprised by that. He knows that I love Beatty. Brett Beatty, I hate the new utility Silver Slugger award or utility Gold Glove because they give these utility awards to guys who can't play shortstop, and that's a utility player is someone who can play shortstop. So and Brett Beatty cannot. But that said, he can play first, he can play second, he can play third, and I think he probably can play corner outfield position passively. And so Brett Beatty is going to win the National League's utility Silver Slugger. That's my bold prediction. He had a 135 WRC plus after the All-Star break last year. including incredibly small samples. That was only like 83 plate appearances or something, but 137 against lefties, which has been his bugaboo. But I think he's going to play darn near every day for them. I think that they're just going to move him around and give he's going to be the guy who whatever. Bo Bichette gets a day off. Marcus Semien gets a day off. Jorge Polanco gets a day off. Carson Bench gets a day. Whatever. He's just going to get playing time virtually everywhere. I could see him, especially in a deeper league or an NL only league, where multi-position eligibility is a big deal. He's in virtually all formats. He's eligible at second and third coming into the year. I could see him adding first, left field, and maybe even right field, by the All-Star break, maybe even sooner. So that's handy. And he's just, I don't know, he was a good prospect, and he's just a late bloomer, and I like it. So there you go. Brett Baty, National League Utility Silver Slugger. Anything to add, gentlemen?
I mean, it speaks to kind of my point of if Marcus Semien's losing playing time, somebody's gaining it. And you look down this depth chart, and you've got to make room for guys like Baty. And everybody's been trying to tell me that Mark Vientos is a thing. And so, with the addition of Polanco and Bo Bichette, I mean, you're just running out of spots. And so you're exactly right. I mean, I think Baty's going to be a staple in the lineup wherever he's playing. Well, and great defender and younger.
Yeah, I actually tweeted this yesterday, and tagged some of my Mets followers and didn't get a response because they hate me, I guess. But it didn't occur to me Brett Baty was a super good defender at third base last year. Why are they just handing Bo Bichette? Why not just leave Baty at third base and have Bichette be?
Well, that's right, and that's why I say Bo Bichette maybe ends up as the second baseman.
Right.
Baty playing third base. And then with all of that, talking about Vientos and all this other stuff, well, where's Ronnie Mauricio going to play? And obviously, it's not going to be
Syracuse.
But, fair. But, talking about Marcus Semien as a good defender.
Yeah.
You got all these young guys who are also good defenders. It just might not be enough. I think that's a great take. I think Baty is a good up and coming player, and I think that's a really, really good take, and I think he will be all over the field for them all the time.
Rich, anything quickly?
Boys and girls at home, always check your BABIPs. 350 BABIP in the second half. He has made some power gains. Respect the hell out of the work he's put in on defense. I definitely see that he could play all around the field, and he'll get some at bats that way. I'm not sold on the bat to this point, but we'll see.
Okay. Brett, we're like Brett no batty. All right. That's three. We're two teams in, and I've made three terrible jokes. All right. Miami, Mr. Scott, what do you got about the prestigious Miami Marlins?
They're terrible.
Yep. They're an embarrassment to baseball.
I dug to try to come up with a hot take, and every hot take is either not hot enough or just sounds silly. I thought, the name that kept kind of coming back to me was Kyle Towers, and I want to say, oh, he's going to be the best bat on the team, and then I looked at the depth chart and went, well, duh. And so then I thought, okay, and so I thought about some of these milestones, and I'm like, well, he's not going to get RBI, he's not going to get, he's not going to get some of these counting stats because no one else around him's any good. So here's the best shot at a hot take I can come up with is Kyle Towers will be a top 25 outfielder in points leagues. I mean, it's just so bad in my opinion. And having watched this for all these years, so funny and story. Trader Jack McKeon, World Series winning manager with the Marlins, actually lives literally 100 yards that way.
Okay, what's the address?
My house, actually right around the corner. I don't know, but I can find it. But anyways, so I'm not a Marlins hater. I hate what's happened to the Marlins and what ownership has done, and all that. It's not the players' fault.
No, yeah. I think the only Marlins haters are Marlins fans.
Right. Presumably, the players are doing their best.
Yeah.
They're just not being set up to succeed. So
no,
Kyle Towers is going to be kind of good, I guess. So I guess the hot take is there will be a Marlin who will be worth caring about in fantasy, and it's Kyle Towers.
Okay, fair enough. Rich, you got anything to add? I don't really have anything. I kind of tend to agree. It's the Marlins could have gone into this offseason and signed like Gino Suarez to play third base and one other bat to play somewhere. I don't know, whatever. Like not a, you know what I mean? Who the Pirates signed, the first baseman?
O'Hearn.
Brian O'Hearn, right?
Yeah.
And they could have been a frisky, like we could make the play, and then not traded away Edward Cabrera and God, why am I blanking so much? The other pitcher they traded away, Ryan Webster,
your guy. Yeah.
Like they keep the rotation together and sign Suarez and O'Hearn, and like they got a frisky shot at making the playoffs, or at least being annoying, And instead, they decided to sell for a bunch of minor league, 19-year-olds because they don't want to pay anybody ever. So
yeah,
I don't know. But that leads. Go ahead.
I believe they have either 2 or 3 players on their roster that are not making the league minimum.
Perfect. Great.
And both of those are trade candidates.
Right. And tell me more about how the Dodgers are the problem in baseball.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about that. Rich, your player, sir.
I actually, despite having said all that, I thought that this was a typo when you set up the spreadsheet, and surely the Braves finished 3rd in the division last year. And then that's not a rip on Scott. I learned that was not the case. I actually don't think the lineup is that bad. I think the way they've handled the roster from a management perspective is horrific, but I actually think the lineup's not bad. I think they have viable players. It's better than I was expecting. I'll put it that way. I think the rotation is okay. But anyway, my player that I'm going to talk about is Owen Cassie, one of the acquisitions that came in. My bold prediction for this year, I like Cassie a good bit more than I would have expected to, say, 6 months ago, once I dug in a little bit. I think he has a season pretty similar to Tyler Soderstrom's 2025, and that would be 270 plus batting average, 25 plus home runs, 90 plus RBIs. I think it was a solid move as far as getting him in. Whether you think you should have been, in that trade market is a different story. He's got a similar size and frame to Soderstrom, similar offensive profile. They both play the outfield now. Soderstrom's got a little bit better contact historically. So I could see a little bit lower on the average relative to the two players. I could also see Cassie going for 30 home runs. I think he had a really underrated 2025. I think he took a lot of steps forward. I think kind of the book was written for a lot of people on him. He's another Matt Mervis. He's another, one of these guys that flame out when they hit the bigs. He had a really solid line drive rate, which is another reason why I'm a little bit more optimistic on the batting average side. As well as the fact that he probably won't. I don't know that he's going to be in a strict platoon. I don't think he's going to face every tough lefty. I think that's going to help with the rate stats a little bit. He had a 95 plus mile an hour average EV and a 52% hard hit rate. And I think people are sleeping on him a little bit. I think that's going to translate into the bigs. I think he's going to start from day one.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Cassie, first of all, he's Canadian. That's the most important thing. So that's, because we always got to throw that in there. Sadly, I don't know what part of Canada, which I usually do with the Canadian players. But anyway, but Cassie, I didn't hate the Edward Cabrera for Cassie trade because it's like, all right, we need a bat, whatever. Like, so we trade a pitcher, for a bat. That's, that's fine. The Ryan Weathers trade is the one that really annoyed me because they traded Ryan Weathers for a bunch of junk. Yeah. Cassie, I do think he's a strict platoon player. His minor league numbers pretty much show that he doesn't hit lefties pretty much at all, but we'll see. He's a decent defender. He does have some thunder in the bat for sure. So many people are calling him the new Clint Frazier.
I hope not.
He's redheaded, you see. So anyway. So Scott, you want anything on Mr. Cassie or not so much?
Well, I mean, you kind of, I think very specifically, you mentioned he being a platoon player, but with the Marlins, there's no such thing. They just don't have anybody to platoon him with. As Rich, suggest, I mean, if you're going to make a trade like that and bring that guy like that in, you got to see what you got.
Yeah.
And so, maybe there's some growth to be had there. And maybe he's able to step into, something that if he was with a competent organization, he would no longer be a.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Is Griffin Conine is right-handed, isn't he, Rich?
He's a starter too, though.
Who? Well, you're right, but I could see some sort of pseudo platoon with Cassie and Conine in left, and then Conine also plays first base when Christopher Morel isn't playing first base, and something going on there. Anyway, who gives a shit? There's so much Marlins talk. All right. I'm going to go into mine, which is a personal favorite player. You guys, anybody who's read any of my work at all knows that I love Sandy Alcantara. So Sandy Alcantara, unless he's traded to the American League, or I haven't checked my phone the last 45 minutes, he may have been traded while we've been talking. So unless he's traded to the American League, Sandy, this is not like a super wild take, but it's hot-ish. It's lukewarm. Is that Sandy Alcantara finishes top 10 in the National League Cy Young voting. So he was coming back off the Tommy John, obviously, last year. He literally, I couldn't find the article. I really wanted to cite the article specifically, but he literally complained after his last start. It was like May 27th or something like that the team was babying him too much. He's like, I can do more than this. Like, let me ride dirty, And so they did. And in his last 20 starts, he went 9-5, which for fantasy players that's a good record. 6.2 innings per start. That's great for my modern standards, right? Not a lot of strikeouts, but he kept the ball on the ground a ton and didn't walk anybody to the tune of a 3.64 strikeout to walk ratio. So that can lead to his FIP wasn't all that great because of the lack of strikeouts rather. But I don't know. Sandy's he's just good, man. He's just a good ass pitcher. He's one of these I don't know, to use a basketball analogy, he's like a point guard who's in control of the game kind of thing. He just doesn't tend to lose control of the game. So, you guys want to add anything to Mr. Sandy?
I'm a big fan of Sandy Alcantara.
Yep.
I would love to see your prediction come true just because I like the guy. I had him on a lot of fantasy teams when he was at his peak. Injuries are just brutal. Just brutal.
Yeah, that's
right. So, all right. Well, we can move on to the fourth place Atlanta team. Or second to last place Atlanta team. Scott, why don't you lead us off, sir?
Again, I'm lay up here. Ronald Acuna Jr. is back. I wish I had the stones it took to call another 40-70 season.
Okay.
I don't know if it's quite that, but one thing I will say is I believe that he has the motivation to push for a 40-50 or even a 40-60 season. Kind of seeing what Ohtani's been doing out on the West Coast.
Right.
I just too talented. Still hitting the ball hard. The plate discipline with the new hitting coach. Clearly, plate discipline's been a big focus in the cages for those guys. And so I just think he goes back to kind of being that guy, the kind of the more true leadoff. Still hitting for power, but just getting on base, going crazy, running the bases. I know everyone thinks with the injuries. I just don't think Acuna has that in him. Also, the World Baseball Classic seems to be some sort of a fire starter kind of thing for him.
Yeah.
And this is a kid that just loves to play baseball, and the more he does it, the better he does at it. So I just think Ronald Acuna Jr., NL MVP. Just doing the thing and back to his peak form.
All right, I like it. Mr. Sayre, I know you tend to be a little cool on Acuna. Why don't you go ahead?
No, I love it. I got some shares of Acuna last season coming off that injury. Took a little bit of a gamble, and he was hot for a good bit. Just one of the most exciting players to watch, I think, whether it's in the field, whether it's at the plate, on the bases. It's just a fun guy to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Acuna, Scott, you and I have had this argument, 383 times. I don't agree that Acuna's injuries are non-recurring. They're isolated incidents, but we shall see. All that said, there's nothing to disagree with that. When Acuna's on the field, he's one of the best players in baseball. I don't think anybody would question that. He's actually, just real quick to finish up the thought, he's an interesting, if he continues to suffer injuries, unfortunately, he's going to be a fascinating Hall of Fame case. You know what I mean? If he continues to play 150 games and then 72 and then miss a year and whatever, anyway, let's hope that doesn't happen. All right, Rich Sayre, your player, sir.
I am going to go, let's see. So I've had two.
Again, I'm sorry, real quick. This is for the second to last place Atlanta team.
I've had 3 positive ones so far. I'm going to fade somebody this time. We saw a pretty hot run towards the end of the season from Hurston Waldrop. 10 games from August looked great. Unfortunately, I just can't buy in. None of the metrics under the hood are necessarily bad, but he's still only got one good pitch. He's got a good splitter. Everything else he throws is not even average. And I think he can't even throw a four seam anymore. He just ditched that. He went from like 30%, 20% down to 1% with that pitch. I think the profile's got a lot of similarities, and another reason I've been cautious about Trey Yesevich, another split guy. Yesevich is a little bit more over the top. He does have a four-seamer that he can throw, but it's really, average or below as well. And I just think if he's going to go the full season this year, people are going to get more looks at him, going back to Waldrop now. And I think they're going to make some adjustments, and he's going to have a tough time this year. I think it's going to be an ERA over 4.5, and you're probably only going to get 7 or 8 wins.
Okay. Scott, what do you have to say about Gator Great Hurston Waldrop?
The Braves have shown that they can be trusted with these pop-up pitching prospects, at least in my opinion.
Waldrop was the 7th overall pick of the draft or something.
Well, and then everyone cooled on him, and then
that's true. Okay, all right, fair enough.
And they kind of pushed him up through the system, and he arrived, early, so to speak. That's kind of more of what I meant by that.
Right.
But yeah, I can't necessarily disagree with Rich. There's a lot of this kind of has the feel of almost like a luxury version of like Bryce Elder. A guy who can eat innings, who managed properly and put in the right, as the fifth guy in the rotation, you can live with it. But I think the lofty aspirations of him being a frontline starter are probably gone.
Right.
And again, every team needs a 4th or 5th starter, so might as well have one that's young and decent, and has room for growth, and
that's fine.
Could change.
And one thing we haven't even brought up is the Braves bullpen is strengthened. Certainly, they added Suarez and they brought back Iglesias and whatever, but not like especially deep. The Braves bullpen, Waldrop could be an absolute knockout reliever. Like, I got a great comp, Rich.
It's still on the table at some point.
Yeah, you'll get this one. I'm not sure, Scott, you're old enough to get this reference, but what about Hurston Waldrop comp to Mike Tunland? Another guy who splitter, ground balls, whatever, like tall, the whole thing, whatever, and thrived. He was a wonderful reliever for a long time. So anyway, I don't know. Anyway, just throwing that out there. That's a reference that like 7 people are going to get. So
that's what the show's about.
Yes, right. Yeah. We're bringing you all the bullshit that you possibly couldn't hear about. All right. Mine is for the who was it? Who was the bastard from mine is about Ozzie Albies, and I can't remember what away team's broadcaster said that he doesn't, something to the effect of he doesn't even know what money is. And that's why he signed such a cheap extension. I can't remember I'll whatever. It doesn't matter. It was super, super like condescending and borderline racist or whatever. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So his Ozzie's struggles defensively continue. His defensive metrics get worse year over year over year. I think 3 years in a row he's gotten worse defensively. And by the way, he can't hit anymore either. Like not with any impact really. So his offense continues to fade, and I think he becomes like a soft platoon player when Ha-Seong Kim comes back in midseason. If his bat isn't keeping him in the lineup, when you have 2+ gloves in Kim and Dubon, there's less reason to play. Not to say Albies won't play like plenty, he just won't play every day. And if he's not playing every day, and you're in you're investing him as your your everyday short or second baseman rather, like that ain't great. So I would avoid Ozzie Albies pretty much everywhere. I don't really get it. Like I don't understand what the fascination with the dude is. He had a monster year like 4 years ago that he's never come close to replicating. And he gets hurt and he now doesn't hit or play defense. Like, I mean, he's cool. My kid got his autograph. Like, he's a nice guy, but he's short. That's kind of funny. I don't know. Whatever. Anything, Scott?
An Ozzy Albies jersey hanging in my closet.
Yeah.
He was my favorite Brave for a few years. He's kind of almost like a bellwether, kind of indicative of what's been going on with the Braves over the last few years, which is, like I said, this new pitching coach came in. I mean, a hitting coach came in, and there's clearly been an emphasis on plate discipline versus the former approach, which was swing hard in case you hit it. But also, there's been this kind of head case kind of situation where it seems very obvious that every guy in the lineup's kind of pressing and is trying to do, everyone's chasing the specter of 2023 and what that offense was able to accomplish. So, like I said, he just kind of seems to be the canary in the coal mine of that, or the quintessential example of that is he's just pressing all the time, and so I think he's a very heady player. He speaks several languages. He's kind of one of the clubhouse leaders. He's kind of almost like he's kind of like the liaison between the Latin players and the American players. I mean, there is a really good chemistry in that clubhouse. Yeah. He's kind of the glue guy for that. So I don't know how well losing playing time is going to mesh with that, but I think you're right. If he doesn't figure out how to get the bat back online, I just don't know that the Braves have a choice, especially like you said, once Ha-Seong Kim comes back, there just aren't. There's no spaces to go. Right. I guess maybe there's a world where he gets some DH at bats, but that's going to be primarily Baldwin and Murphy.
Can't hit DH at bats.
Well, and the platoon splits. I know they were talking about turning him, only letting him bat from the right side. There's just been there could be some tread left on the tires, but it has to be managed properly. So we'll see what Mr. Weiss can come up with there.
You mentioned Mr. Weiss. Forgot about that. You mentioned that he's kind of like the liaison in the clubhouse or whatever. And you being a big Braves fan, you probably know the story, but just in case you don't, so he's from Curacao, right? Which is a territory of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, right? And there were apparently years ago arguments in the Braves, like when they were on the road, they would go to dinner, whatever, and who's going to pick up the tab, and it should be the high-paid guys, and so on and so forth, whatever. And anyway, Ozzy, being from the Netherlands, ostensibly, insisted that everybody go Dutch.
I love the Curacao to Atlanta Braves pipeline. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
It's absolutely insane. Yep.
Yeah.
I just love the Curacao to MLB pipeline. It's insane. So,
that's great. That's great. But,
yeah. Any quick line, Albie, since I just took up a bunch of time telling a terrible joke?
I'm good.
You're good. Okay. All right. Let's wrap up the NL East with Washington, and we're going to take a quick break. Scott, I'm sorry. You go ahead, sir.
Yeah. No, it's my, so I'm using one of my favorite things. David has heard this story a million times. I don't know if you ever heard it, Rich. So I have this infamous spreadsheet that I run that I keep for all of my fantasy player evaluations and roster management and all these sorts of things. And early on, I wasn't as savvy to Fangraphs IDs and things like that. Anyways, so Cade Cavalli was one of the first players that caused problems for me because his first name's actually Steven. And so he would pop up on the spreadsheet, and I'm like, who the heck is this guy? It's Cade Cavalli. So anyways, my hot take is that Cade Cavalli will be a top 8 pitcher in the NL East. I was going to say he was going to be the best pitcher on the Nationals, and then Mackenzie Gore got shipped out of town. So, I just think that he has all the tools, the stuff. The stuff is clearly there. He's had issues with control. But again, the Nationals have kind of become a team that you can trust with. What was it? They had the signs up, no one cares how fast you throw a ball forward.
Right.
And so I just think if there was ever a club that could take care of a guy who has the tools, just kind of needs some refining, it's the Nats. And so the underlying metrics point to, again, that the stuff is there, just needs to figure it out. And so I'm going to trust the Nats to do that, and that Cade Cavalli is a serviceable, fantasy number 2, number 3 pitcher in fantasy, and I don't know about wins, but outside of that, ratio strikeouts should be there.
Good stuff, man. All right, Rich, you're the pitching savant among us. You got anything to add for Cade Cavalli? one of 2 Cades in the major leagues from University of Oklahoma, incidentally. But anyway.
Both
Cade
of them
Horton.
are from University of Oklahoma?
Yeah, Cade Horton being the other guy.
What about Cade Smith?
I don't know.
Oh, you're talking about Oklahoma pitchers. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I missed the subset.
No.
I'm not
Sorry,
talking about Cade.
I'll try to get to that one sooner.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
That was on the fly, I think. I don't think you had that preloaded. So
No, any of these preloaded. These have all been off the cuff.
All right. I like Cade Cavalli. I in my brief team breakdown that nobody asked for and that I do anyway. I noted that they've penciled in their ace for someone that's pitched 53 major league innings in the last 4 seasons. So that's my only concern, is that, if he was in the 4th or 5th spot in a rotation, maybe it doesn't make a difference, but to try to have this guy going, for sure every 5 days, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if I remember correctly, he was drafted in 2020. And that was the COVID year, obviously. So he got a delayed start to his career. His first, I wrote him up actually as a post-type prospect to buy. And if I remember correctly, in 2021, he led all of the minors in strikeouts and over like 3 levels. And then got hurt, obviously, and missed like a lot of time, like 2020, got hurt like halfway through 2022 and didn't come back till like 2024, and then had some sort of shoulder impingement, didn't pitch very much, whatever. So if it makes any sense, it's like to use a basketball term, they talk about like mileage, right, on your feet or on your legs or whatever. Like Cade Cavalli is a young 27, if that's a thing. So we'll see. Anyway, Rich, you got a take for us on a Washington National, sir.
I think this is a contender for the worst lineup in the league, and for a team that's going to hit under 60 wins this season. When you look at roster resource on Fangraphs right now, you have 6 players in the starting lineup with a 94 lower WRC plus. Out of the 6, 1 is at 77 last year, and 3 are at 66 or below. This is a really rough lineup for me.
Yeah.
I do like the Harry Ford acquisition. I like some of the changes they made recently. But my bold prediction is going to be James Wood. I'm a big James Wood fan. Unfortunately, I think he's the only viable player they have in their lineup. I think he could take a step forward this year. His launch angle has been increasing, and it needed to because he hit a lot of balls on the ground. My bold prediction is that James Wood is going to hit 40 home runs this year with less than 85 RBIs.
Wow. Okay. I like it. It's like a Mickey Tettleton type season. There's another reference that nobody's going to get. All right. Scott, anything to add on James Wood or not so much?
James Wood's a good baseball player, and that's pretty much, that's it.
Yeah, large human being. I'll wrap us up real quickly. Rich, you completely stole my thunder. My take on the Nats is, yes, I think this is the worst lineup in baseball. I think it's unequivocally worse than Colorado, which is really saying something. I put this on my notes. They boast 3 hitters with a 66. Shout out to Mario Lemieux, or worse WRC plus last year, and then three more between 77 and 94. Yeah. So the good news is that the Lerner family that owns the Washington Nationals is only worth $6.4 billion, so they couldn't possibly do better. So anyway, that's my railing against the ownership. And once again, tell me the Dodgers are the problem with baseball when the team that plays in the nation's capital has 6 below average hitters in their lineup. So anyway, you guys want to add anything about the Nats, or that's probably more than enough talk about the Nats? Yes. Yeah. All right. We're going to take a quick break because I need to go get some more water, and we'll be right back. Okay, friends, we're back. Except for nobody noticed that we were gone because we were paused. It's kind of like in Back to the Future where Einstein goes in the DeLorean and then, no, for him, the change was instantaneous. So that's what you all just experienced. Anyway, I just want to remind everybody once more, fantasy6pack.net/plans. Use promo code F6PPODS. You're going to save 5%, save 15%. off of. Yeah, I know it's a no-brainer. And you get the big thing, honestly, you get obviously all the rankings and all the behind-the-scenes stuff and the daily tools and data and DFS stuff and all that, whatever. But I gotta tell you, the Discord is fun. We get a lot of good banter on there. We get a lot of good questions, and obviously you get privy to other folks' questions, so you might pick up some knowledge on something you weren't even thinking about. So again, fantasy6pack.net/fans, F6P pods, save 15% and sign up today. All right, we're going to jump over to the American League, and with the intention of being a little more brief, because as we might have not surprised ourselves, we got a little long-winded there in the National. But we're going to start off with the first place, Toronto, the American League or the World Series runner-up, Toronto Blue Jays. Mr. Scotty, that's you want to lead us off, sir?
Sure. And this is easily my favorite take of any of my takes on any player. Alejandro Kirk, top 5 fantasy catcher.
Okay.
The batted ball metrics are there. He had a huge difference. It's almost 60 points of difference between his actual slugging and his expected slugging, 10% barrel rate, 91 percentile hard hit rate. And he's got the defense to stick. Dave, I'm sure you've said a million times on the show. I've heard it a bunch when I've listened and in our conversations. Defense gets you playing time. And he's got the skill set. It just, for whatever reason, he's got some launch angle issues. But I think there's more power there. I don't think he's quite Cal Raleigh-esque, but it would not be surprised at all if he just was a monster 35, 40 homer threat. The average is good. He's not going to. He's not going to. The numbers just bear it out. So he's not going to score a bunch of runs because he is literally one of the slowest players in baseball.
Yeah.
He's not going to steal any bases. But he's like a slow pitch softball player. I play a lot of slow pitch softball, in North Carolina. But the dude just rakes, and I just have a feeling that he starts to put some of those things together. The power increases, and Alejandro Kirk becomes a real fantasy asset from the catcher position.
I had him ranked, I think, 6th in my dynasty catcher rankings, so I don't disagree at all. Like the volume stats will certainly be there. Whether the rate stats follow suit isn't even another question. 35 homers seems optimistic, but who knows? Whatever. Like you said, he's got he's got the barrel rate and whatever to do with the exit velocities, and he looks like a fire hydrant, so that's gonna be worth something. Rich, you want to add anything on Captain Kirk or not so much?
Yeah, as you were mentioning, I took a quick peek there, and the EVs last year took a big step up from what I recalled from earlier in his career. So I like that. It was 91 and a half average. And barrel rate, hard hit rate over 50%. So I like it.
Cool. So, Rich, go ahead with your Blue Jay.
I'm going to do another short Blue Jay with big power. I'm going Dalton Varsho. I think he could hit over 40 home runs this season. I'm pegging the number at 45. That seems scary.
Spicy.
And I think he could lead the team in WAR. He's got the defense. I'm buying in on the swing changes. I think we saw that over a long enough period of time. So this is really a bet that he plays over 140 games. Other than last season, he'd played most recently 136, 158, and 151. I think he'll take a hit in average. There's no getting around that.
Yep.
I don't think the on base is going to be great. But as I summarized it, I think on the whole F it YOLO swing that he developed is worth the trade-off from where he was before.
There was an article actually in either Toronto Star or maybe one of the Toronto Regs about that specifically going in, and actually last year rather, that he was basically like, I'm just going to hit more nukes and not worry about hitting 260 with an empty 260 batting average,
Yeah.
So that's good taking. I do love me some Dalton Varsho. For those who don't know, oh God, now I'm going to blank on his dad's name. Well, his dad played in the major leagues. And Dad Varsho, whose name is escaping me now. This story's better if I can remember.
Varsho the senior? Yeah.
Yes, Varsho the senior, not Dalton, whatever his dad's name is. Anyway, Dalton was born 9 months and 1 day after his dad's last game. So there's anyway, I wonder what they did to celebrate. All right. My player, one of my favorite players to what's a nicer word than poop on? Deride? That's probably a good word.
The more grown-up version, yeah.
Yes, Anthony Santander. My bold prediction for Anthony Santander is that he will be DFA'd before the end of the season. Like, outrighted off the 40-man completely. Toronto's ownership, the Rogers group ownership, seems more willing to spend more money than ever before. Keith Law has long referred to them as a sleeping giant financially. So I think that in order to make room under the CBT to make an in-season acquisition, they're going to outright him off the roster, and nobody's going to claim him, and then he doesn't count against the luxury tax anymore. Here's my fun fact. These are my fun fact. I mean, super depressing about Anthony Santander. Last year, he hit 175 with 6 homers and was a -1 win player. Okay, by reference. Okay. In like 40-something games, like negative, anyway, whatever. In the integration era, Justin Maxwell is the all-time leader in home runs after a season this bad with 7. And then the year after that, he was out of baseball.
Yeah.
Like most, I think there were 11 players, and like 7 of them never played in the major leagues again. So, like 175, 6 homers, -1 win. You can just go home. So anyway, if I say, I guess what it would boil down to is if Santander didn't have that contract, I'm sure he would not be a Blue Jay anymore. So anyway, all right, let's go on to the my New York Yankees. Mr. Scott, what do you got?
Again, just really swinging for the fences here. Jazz Chisholm threatens 40-40 season.
Okay.
He went 30-30 last year. There's something funky going on with his swing. His swing got longer, but the bat speed increased, and it did some weird stuff with his exit velocities. The max EV was still there. The average EV went down, and his plate discipline suffered a little bit, but I think he figures all that out. Also, his sprint speed went down, which is I don't think he got slower. I think that there's a correlation there. Longer swing. I'm not sure exactly,
right.
What the fix necessarily is there, but I just think he's too good of an athlete. And he's just one more year in New York, getting more comfortable. I know all you New Yorkers love to say it's different in New York and all that. So I'm gonna give him. I'm gonna give him a pass or give him.
He embraced it. He loved the environment.
Well, and yes, but there's a difference in being a New York guy and playing in New York.
Yeah.
Like I'm giving him. I'm positively regressing his performance in New York.
Right.
And saying that I don't know if he gets 40-40. And he would be an interesting addition to that list of the 40-40 club, but I think he gets really, really close. If not
Jazz. So Jazz, this is a common, again, useless refrain with me is arguing with Yankees fans about, well, look at what Jazz has done in his Yankees career per 162. And I was like, that doesn't matter. He never plays 162. It doesn't matter. Like what his per 162 numbers are. But important note that you didn't have, Scott, is Jazz is free agent after this year. So if he's ever going to do it, it's going to be this year. He's going to want to get that. He's going to want to get that bag. And so whatever the bag is after our 2027 work stoppage. But anyway, Jazz. 40-40 certainly. It's really not. If you tell me he's going to play 155 games, he's going 40-40. So anyway, Rich, anything?
8.5 wins the past 2 years.
Yeah. No, he's been a super valuable player for the Yankees. He's just, again, I just don't tell me he's per 162. It doesn't matter. So, all right, Rich, what do you got?
I struggled a little bit with a hot take for the Yankees. I think they were going to have the best lineup in baseball again. I think the pitching staff is actually better than I was expecting coming in, even without Cole, Rodon, and Schmidt. So what I eventually came up with and what I'm going to go with is that Jose Caballero is going to steal 70 bases this year. He's going to have the shortstop job to start the year. I think there's a shot that he keeps that the whole year. I think he's a better shortstop than Anthony Volpe. I don't think Volpe actually does a whole lot particularly well. And then as a fallback, I think he's got the opportunity if Volpe does come out, say he comes back from the surgery or whatever he's got going on, and he's hitting well. They want him to play. I think he could take at bats from McMahon. So I think he's got a couple avenues to playing time. I think he stole 49 bases in only 314 at bats last year. I know he did pinch run a little bit. I'm going with the 70 as my bold take.
That's a lot of bags. That would be fun as a Yankee fan to even if he got to 50 or 60, that'd be incredible. 70 steals would be fun. Caballero, I think, is Spanish for like cowboy or something like that, or like gunslinger or something. None of this matters. Anything to add on Caballero real quick, Scott, or not so much?
I mean, he's a guy that I wasn't aware of for a lot of last season, and then he started popping up on steals lists, and now I love guys like that. So no,
he's fun, and Anthony Volpe's terrible, so there's that.
I had to go with the 70. I was going to say he leads the league in steals, but he did that last year. So
right. Yeah. All right. So my bold prediction for my New York Yankees is sort of bold and sort of not so bold. I don't know. Is Aaron Judge not going to win American League MVP? And also, this is like bleeding over into 2 shows from now. Neither is Cal Raleigh. So I don't know who's going to win American League MVP. I don't have a here's who's going to instead. But it's just what's that?
I said Jazz if he gets to 40-40.
Jazz could, yeah. Actually, if he gets to 40-40, it's a great call. But yeah, no. Aaron Judge just suffers from the Michael Jordan voter fatigue, and they give it to Karl Malone, and then he beats Karl Malone's brains in the finals. So yeah, that's what happens with Aaron Judge this year. He doesn't win American League MVP. I don't know if that's an especially bold prediction, but that's my prediction anyway. So. All right, we're going to move to Back Bay. We're going to move to Boston. What do we got for us, Scott?
Wilyer Abreu is the most valuable outfielder on the Red Sox. And that may not be a hot take. Maybe. You and I had a lot of discussions about Wilyer Abreu last offseason. I love the guy, but he seemed to be a very clear kind of platoon that was going to be his downfall. He wasn't that bad against lefties last year, and was good enough to buoy that he's really, really good against righties.
And he's a great defender.
A great defender. Jarren Duran is as well. It's not. I just think he's just got a little bit more juice. I think we saw the best of Jarren Duran last year, and I think Wilyer Abreu's got more ceiling. And I think he's going to keep climbing towards it this year, and we'll see if he peaks or if there's even more in the tank there.
Okay, Mr. Sayre, anything on Abreu?
I like Abreu. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of a logjam, maybe not in the outfield is the question, but I think Abreu should play every day if he can. The defense is certainly there. I think him and Sedan is a great combo. I love Duran. I'd love to see all those guys play every day in the outfield. But you got Anthony. You're not going to stick him at DH full time. So We'll see what happens.
Okay. Rich, you want to go next or you want me to? You've been going second all day, so you want to just go second now?
Keep the same lineup? Yeah. So I would have loved to go Peyton Toll here. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's got number 1 upside. I think he was my number 4 prospect on my list. But I don't think they're going to start him in the majors. I think he might only get half a season. They're going to have what I refer to affectionately or not so affectionately as the Timu Wish version of Peyton Toll, which is Johan Oviedo in the lineup for at least half the year. So all that is a lot of discussion about the fact that I'm not going to pick him for my bold prediction. I'm going to go with Romy Gonzalez. Sox have been trying to plug their second base hole in the lineup. They whiffed on the signing Bichette. I think that was the perfect guy for their lineup at that position, but they didn't sign him. So they fall back to Romy unless they make another move. Like I mentioned, I think at the top of the show, a little bit differently. So many hitters, you wish they could play a little bit better defense. I think that's the same for Romy. I don't think he's a plus or maybe even average guy, but he's got plus bat speed, he's got plus power, he's got plus foot speed as well. If he gets into 500 bats this year, I think he's a guy that could hit for 270. I think he could hit 25 home runs with 90 plus RBIs. He's known, he's got the reputation as a lefty hitter, a platoon guy. He had a 95 WRC plus against righties last year. Not amazing, but not a guy you necessarily have to platoon. I don't think. I've been a big Romy stan, so that's my bold prediction is you get those numbers from him, and you're looking at maybe a top 2 or 3 guy out of all the second base landscape.
Okay. Scott, anything to add?
No, you mentioned earlier logjam.
Yeah.
They've got to figure out how to get these good bats in the lineup, and like you said, not completely punt defense like they have, the last few seasons.
My only counter to your argument about Romy Gonzalez getting playing time and all that, whatever, Rich, is the Red Sox have. I mean, they clearly, whether on purpose or not, because they whiffed on Bregman and they whiffed on Bichette, have built their team around pitching and defense now.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have a superlative defender at second base available named David Hamilton. So
can't hit. Terrible.
He can't hit at all. No, he can't hit at all. But I wonder if but like that could bite into Romy's playing time. Whether it's just defensive replacements late in games, or whether it's Hamilton gets 1 or 2 starts a week because Romy's not nearly the defender he is. Whatever. I know who won't be the second baseman is Christian Campbell. All right, I'm going to go with my Red Sox, also outfielder, and contradict Scott, Roman Anthony. Easily the best Red Sox outfielder. I had Roman Anthony down for like a top 7 American League MVP finish. Roman Anthony, his first 58. Now this is I rail against MLB Network for fun with arbitrary endpoints, and then I'm going to play their game. But his first 58 plate appearances, he struck out a lot, and he didn't get more than 1 hit in any game. Right. So he had a 61 WRC plus. On June 28th, he had his first multi-hit game. From that day forward, rest of the season, 158 WRC plus. So maybe he figured something out. My opinion is there's really no such thing as drafting Roman Anthony too early this year in standard league formats and whatever. I mean, I guess first overall is too early, but maybe maybe it's not. I don't know. Roman Anthony's really, really good. And I don't know. He's a player. I guess what I would close with, I don't know what the ceiling on Roman Anthony is. If Roman Anthony hit 43 home runs and stole 25 bases this year, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's just who Roman Anthony is now. So anyway, Rich, you're the Red Sox fan in the room. You want to add anything?
I'm, as far as I can tell, the only Red Sox fan that exists on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it that does not think Roman Anthony is the best player in the league.
I gotta go.
I think he's very good. I think the quality of contact metrics are incredible.
Right.
I think he had something like a 95 mile an hour average EV and a 60% hard hit rate before BABIP last year. So what I like to tell the boys and girls at home is check your BABIP. I think he could get better this year from a fundamental standpoint and a performance standpoint without getting better rate stats. I think you might see a big jump next season, not this season coming up. But that could just be me. I don't know. Maybe I'm off base.
Didn't he do that at 21 years old last year?
He's very young. I thought he was 22. You might be right, though.
Either way, 21, 22 years old.
21. Yeah, he was 21 last year.
And fun Roman Anthony adjacent story. Well, not adjacent, this was, whatever, but fun personal embarrassing story about Roman Anthony. I, in our home league that me and Rich and Scott play in 2 years ago, traded Roman Anthony straight up as a prospect, Roman Anthony, for Henry Davis. So that worked out well for me. All right. Anyway, moving on to the they're called the. This is actually talked about in my favorite baseball podcast, my second favorite baseball podcast besides the one I'm currently recording. But my second favorite baseball podcast, Effectively Wild, used to talk all the time about why are they called the Tampa Bay Rays? Like Tampa Bay is water. Like they don't play in Tampa Bay. Like they play in Tampa, but actually they play in St. Petersburg. But anyway, so whatever the hell they play in, they're the Rays. Let's talk about the Rays. Scott, go.
This is probably one of my spicier takes, but I'm good with it. Joe Boyle is a top 3 pitcher in the Rays rotation.
Oh, you're going to say the American
No. I'm hedging. I'm going to hedge this take with I'm not deciding which of Rasmussen, Pepio, or McClanahan I think falls out of the top 3, but I think it's at least one of them. I think Steven Matz is, that's not even a conversation. But Joe Boyle, the comp, the easy, lazy comp is, budget Tyler Glasnow. The stuff is there. And I think kind of like what the Rays did with Tyler Glasnow, where they told him, hey, just throw fastballs and throw them in the zone. The rest of your stuff just plays off of that. I think they could do something similar with Joe Boyle and make his stuff play. The control metrics didn't change that much going from relieving to starting. And so I just think, he might be a head case. He might just be a wild guy. But I think the stuff is just so good that again, if there's ever an organization you're going to trust with a guy like that, it's the Rays.
Oh, yeah. I agree. So, and Joe Boyle's a big boy, too. Isn't he like 6'4", 6'5", and like 250 or something?
Mucho tall, yes.
Yeah. So, Rich, you got anything to add to Boyles and Source?
I wouldn't object to that. I'm not a huge believer that the control is going to come. The stuff is nasty. I think the rotation in general is a little bit underwhelming. I summed it up that Rasmussen is not even a 5 and dive guy. He's like a 4 and get out the door. Pepio I like.
Ooh, great new phrase.
McClanahan I have no confidence in. So I would not at all be surprised if he did get any kind of semblance of control, if he did very well in that team. I think the bullpen's amazing, but the rotation is pretty underwhelming for me.
Okay. Rich, who you got?
I'm going to go back into the negative. I'm going to fade Jonathan Aranda this time. I've never been a big fan of him as a prospect. I know he does hit the ball hard, and he's got a good line drive rate. But again, this is an easy for me regression to the mean guy. Boys and girls at home, check your BABIP. 409 BABIP last year. I don't think the power is that great, even with the hard hit rate. And I think he's more of a 260, 340, 440 guy than what the triple slash that he put up last year.
Yep.
Normally that'd be fine, but he also can't really play the field. So I would be fading him this year coming up.
The interesting part about Aranda is that the Rays supposedly, we'll see because they're a pretty platoon happy team, but they supposedly are going to let him play every day, including against lefties, which historically is not hit at all. And actually, it's funny you mentioned Aranda. Like he didn't make my first base dynasty, whatever. I don't even know if I made this comp on the list or whatever, but like I'm not even sure he's got 440 slug in him. If in other words, if he's going to play every day, he's going to get exposed, and then the numbers going to go down, right? Yeah. And like he's modern day James Loney without the defense, right? Like that's not a great comp. Like that's so. Anything to add on Aranda, Scott?
Another one of those. They seem to have a handful of these guys that hit the ball hard, kind of. And then so what do you do with that? The Christopher Morels and those kind of guys, almost like a what was the first baseman for the Astros? Chris Carter. These guys that can just pound homers. Yeah, that's kind of it. I just I don't trust anything else in the offensive profile. And like you said, I think the more this kind of profile plays, the more it gets exposed.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden,
and then again, to Rich's point, he can't play defense. So
right, exactly. So when you start pairing, even if it's 30, 35 home runs, if you pair that with 220 average, it's just untenable. So
yeah. So I don't think there's 30, 35 home runs in that bad, but we'll see. Anyway, all right. So my Tampa not Bay Rays take is Edwin Uceda is a top 10 closer in fantasy. He seizes the job in spring training. For me, he's got the Yohan Duran starter package. He has this ridiculous over-the-top changeup. He does not have a ridiculous over-the-top fastball like Duran does. So we'll have to see how that goes. But Uceda's changeup is really, really great. The Tampa's other options in their bullpen are like Griffin Jax, who's a great reliever, but for whatever reason has never really gotten an opportunity to be a closer. And I don't know why that is. And they have one other sort of closer guy, whoever it is. But Uceda, top 10 closer in fantasy.
Clevenger, yeah.
Oh, Clevenger, right. Yeah. Anyway, anything to add on Uceda? You guys
I'm a Jax stan, so I'm going to be on the team Jax on that, but they're both very good. Who knows how it plays out.
I would agree with Rich. I do like Griffin Jax. I think there's a lot to like there, but it is good. I mean, and again, it's the lazy answer, but the Rays just know how to get the most out of bullpen arms. And you just have to believe that they're going to figure it out.
I would submit that if your assertion is that Griffin Jax is a better reliever than Uceda is straight up, which is fine, I don't disagree with that. The Rays won't use him as their closer.
Yeah,
right. That's right. That's exactly right.
Right. All right, let's end with the Orioles. Baltimore. What do we got for Baltimore, Mr. Scotty?
I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite players in all of fantasy baseball. And I have no reason why. I couldn't tell you why. I have no idea, but somehow this guy ends up on my team year after year. Taylor Ward. Hot take, not a hot take at all. He is a top 20 outfielder in fantasy. He just does that year after year. There's not even a good explanation for that. But I think he is the quintessential change of scenery candidate. He's been doing his thing out in LA. No help. Nobody. LA's
Anaheim.
so bad. And what? But Taylor Ward, good ball player. There's just a lot to like. He's been very consistent for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Hits the ball hard enough. Decent discipline. Plays good enough defense. Good arm. And so it's just. I just believe in the barrel rates. I believe in everything he does, and then going to a better team, better ballpark. I just think he steps into not just Taylor Ward's the top 20. No, this guy is a legitimate top 20, maybe even pushes for top 15 outfielder. He has the skills and put the environment around him. I think he's there.
Okay, Rich, you got anything to add?
I like it. I've always liked Taylor Ward. I could see that he gets a little energized playing for a real team. Right. So I like it.
Yeah. I'm not sure I agree with top 20. I would go top 30, 35, but that's still good. And you're getting him for probably next to nothing in your drafts. So especially, and Baltimore's lineup is fairly loaded. As much as I deride the signing of Pete, it's like I used to write. Anyway, of Pete Alonso, I think that contract's going to age horribly. But bottom line is, I think it'll be good this year. And that's all we need for Taylor Ward. So, Rich, what do you got?
Yeah. So I'm going to go Gunnar Henderson. I messed up my line already. The intro was supposed to be that I'm going to go Tyler O'Neill hits a home run on opening day, because I was not in tune on this, but it's been 3 years in a row that he's done that. So we'll be watching this season, but
also Canadian Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah.
Yep. His dad, this is real. His dad was Mr. Canada, like bodybuilder.
Yes. Yeah. You could tell maybe from looking at him, but
right.
My bold prediction, I'm in on the full Gunnar Henderson rebound to MVP candidate. So 270 plus batting average, 40 home runs, 110 RBIs. I think the shoulder injury, the fatigue that he had last year, really bothered him. It actually didn't show up a whole lot in the numbers. It was a little bit where everything just went down a little bit. But says he's feeling good now. I think the StatCast was too good in 2024 and before, that he doesn't get back to that. So I'm going to say he rebounds from a 4.8 WAR season to get back into the 7-8 WAR range, and he's an MVP candidate. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have something to add on Gunnar that, and this is not necessarily to argue with you, Rich. It's just whatever. It's just a thing that's true. Okay. Yeah. From his first career game until the 2024 All-Star break, he had a 140, because I have this for my shortstop article I'm working on. He had a 140 WRC plus. Yep. Since the 2024 All-Star break, so not last year, but 2 years ago, it's 123. And so I don't know what that means. You know, he's certainly young enough to rebound plenty and become, like you said, MVP candidate. I don't know. Just kind of a curiosity. Like I mean, that's a lot of loss for a young kid, So I don't know. Does have great hair. He's got that going for him. So anyway, Scott, anything on Mr. Henderson?
He's the best of the Baltimore Orioles minor league white boy factory.
Yeah,
just spits out these blonde-haired, pasty-skinned,
right.
And he's clearly the best of them. To your point about weird regression, Adley Rutschman seems to be kind of experiencing the same thing. So I don't know what's causing that. I don't know if it's some sort of like a weird extended sophomore slump kind of situation, but I would be more inclined to lean Rich's direction that the skills are there. I can't remember who he attributes to, but Sayre is famous for saying once you show a skill, you have it.
Yeah, it was Bill James actually is the one originally.
There you go. And so I believe that what we saw out of Gunnar early in his career is still in there. Okay. There's just a lot of again, kind of harkening back almost to the Ozzie Albies kind of bellwether kind of situation. It's one of those things where when one of them goes, they all go, and so I think it just takes somebody in that lineup kind of getting hot and kind of performing that I think they all kind of start to feel it, and we'll see Rutschman return to form, and certainly Gunnar. Defense is there, and again he's young. I see it. It very much is there for the taking.
Cool. All right, so we're going to end with my Orioles take, which is probably my hottest take of all of them, even over the Bryce Harper being outdone by Mets first baseman take. The Trevor Rogers / Kyle Bradish 1-2 punch is the most valuable duo of starting pitchers of any team in the American League.
Ooh.
By Fangraphs WAR.
Okay.
This is fun with ridiculously and arbitrary endpoints. Okay. From Bradish's return through Rogers' second last start. His last start was a disaster. So he gave like 9 runs in 3 innings. So let's punt that one. So from Bradish's return, it was like early August through September 26th. They were the second best 1-2 punch in baseball, behind Max Fried, not baseball, in the American League, behind Max Fried and Carlos Rodon. And Carlos Rodon is hurt. And there's like Seattle with like say like Kirby and Wu or whatever, or Gilbert, thank you.
Gilbert, yes.
Right. Yeah, I was like looking at their best pitcher's name. But so there's certainly other options out there or whatever. But like if you really think about it, not like a lot. You mean like in the American League, as far as a 1-2 punch, like there's certainly better ones, But maybe Toronto, Gossman and Dylan Cease. But bottom line is, that's my bold prediction. Trevor Rogers, Kyle Bradish, best 1-2 punch in the American League. Nothing like betting on guys who've made like 10 starts in the last 2 years. So
the first thing I'll
like
say to
everyone's on the Rogers regression. Yeah, so
yeah,
I'm fine with that.
The thing I'll say on that is when you said the two names, I immediately thought back to that graphic for the NBA fans in the room that graphic that was displayed during a Lakers game. I think it was last season or this season. The most points scored by a father-son combo in NBA history.
Oh, right.
Yeah, LeBron and Bronny. Is one of these things is not like the other. Anyone who knows me knows that I think Kyle Bradish is an absolute stud. I think he has, ace upside, and I think he just is an ace. And so I think, if your prediction even comes close to being true, it's because Bradish has like 8 WAR.
Yeah, I think
or something like that.
Trading Trevor Rogers a little too much, man. Trevor Rogers is a really well-regarded prospect coming up, and I think he finished like top 3 rookie of the year voting his first year and whatever, and then just got hurt forever.
Right, and then
then when he came back last year, he came back with a vengeance.
Sure. I'm not. Again, I'm not saying. Like I said, I said the LeBron and Bronny, being facetious, but I do think if that duo is that good, it's mostly on the back of Bradish, and I think Rogers certainly can be a serviceable starter. I just, to be able to compete with, like I said, with Seattle or even whatever is going to come out of New York, or Toronto, yeah.
No, New York's not there because all of our horses are hurt to start the year, like Garrett Cole and Rodon and whatever.
Yeah, but
Fried and Schlitter.
Fried and Schlitter, I guess, yeah. But again, I'm going with my favorite.
Obviously,
so I'm going.
I do love Max Fried. Max Fried is my guy, from way back in the day. So
anyway. Crochet and Gray.
Crochet and Gray, yeah, that's actually a good one. Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm going Rogers Reddish. I'm doing it. I'm all in. So, there was one other thing I was going to mention, but I don't remember what it was. So anyway, this is the only fantasy baseball show that you'll get a LeBron Bronny camp, by the way. So congratulations to our listeners who made it this far. Anyway, we've gone way over our time. We want to thank everybody for joining us. Scott, we really appreciate you taking an hour and a half out of your night to join us and talk baseball and whatever. It's always good to talk ball with you, buddy. Any closing thoughts?
Big ATC guy. Go check out Ariel finally dropped his projections, which is kind of the basis for a lot of my research and those sorts of things. So always shout out guys that I am I've been a big fan of for a lot of years. So other than that, go Braves. Nice. They will not be finishing in 4th. Hottest
not taking. You heard it here first. The Braves are finishing in 5th.
Not possible.
All right, Rich, any closing thoughts real quick?
No, glad to be back. We got a big year coming up. We got a lot of bold predictions coming up, and I hope you guys will be there with us.
Yep. Well, appreciate y'all taking the time. Y'all have a great day or evening whenever you're listening to this, and go baseball.